Okay, everybody, welcome to this week's extra special live stream, HDI local chapter. We are so excited to have you. Quick programming note, as you know, we are sponsored by Robert Half, Robert Half Talent Solutions. Robert Half provides you with highly skilled IT professionals to help keep your business running. Please go visit that link at the top of the screen here. Check out all the awesome information that they provide and they share. They not only help you find great candidates. If you are a candidate looking for roles, they have an awesome job board as well. And they also share really interesting information around how to retain the talent that you have and how to create an awesome onboarding experience. So lots of really cool, interesting facts and things that you can pull from the Robert Half team. So again, thank you to Robert Half, and please visit that link there at the top of the page. But without further ado, I am so excited to welcome to the other side of the program our good friend, Tom Wilk, who is an HDI legend, an HDI top 25 thought leader, and all-around IT badass. That's the introduction I made up for you because we all know your background. We're all excited that you're here, and we all know you. So welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Maddie. I've been called worse.
Welcome to your program.
Well, it's our program now, so that's the cool part. I love to share, so and I love that we have grown this team to a bigger group and a better, just on a more awesome, team that we put together here. It's a bigger team. It's not two guys in a garage. It's, the proverbial entrepreneurial startup, right? So,
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there's a lot of really cool things happening with HDI and in the IT industry in general. So, Tom, you've been on my side of the live stream for a while now, and I think a lot of our viewers know who you are. But tell us a little bit about how you fell in. Tell us the man behind the curtain. How did you fall into IT? Where did you find HDI at the beginning, and how did you get so involved in it? Give us the background story.
So that's funny because I do like to tell people, especially if you've not been in IT before or you're not sure what you want to be when you grow up. I just recently figured that out, maybe because retirement's right down the road for me. When I started out, I thought I really liked math, and had I known back then that math is like programming, like a lot of programmers, that's a natural fit. I went into accounting. I went to school for an accounting degree because I thought I wanted to do accounting. And I realized that I realized that that's not the same kind of accounting or math that I like. So I got my first job. I was a payroll clerk. I just processed time cards. That was where I started. And I was so happy because I didn't date myself, but this was way, way back. And I made a whopping $12,000 a year. That's $1,000 a month. And I was excited because I had benefits. Like, I was a short order cook before that. I was flipping burgers and, making Reubens and things like that. So this was awesome. But I got a promotion. I audited time cards, even more boring than actually entering the time cards in. This is before the automated systems and everything, right? And so I wanted to be more. I wanted to do more. So I went around the company that I worked for at the time, and I went, well, where do I want to go next? So I went to the accounting team. I thought, if I'm in accounting, I'm going to go, boy, were they, sorry to say if you're listening, but they were the most boring, grumpiest people I've ever met. I just couldn't make myself do that every day. And, at the time, the CFO of that company, who would have been my big boss, didn't even open his own email because, they didn't know how to do that. I'm like, wow, that sucks. So I walked around the company and saw the people that were smiling, having fun, being wise asses like me. And it was the IT people. So I ended up moving over to become a print room clerk. All I did, this will date myself again, my job was to take green bar reports off of, cut them by jobs and put them in lockers for people to come pick up. That was it. It wasn't glamorous, but I was able to, it allowed me to kind of study while I was working for certain things and get a degree in IT. And so I got a degree in IT and then ended up moving. So my journey was I started in payroll, and I went to be a print room clerk, and I became a telecommunication tech. I was the guy that pulled all the wires, the Ethernet cables, and plugged them in from end to end, and went from there. I had a boss that she came up to me one day and she said, you look like you'd be a really good leader. I'm like, where do you come up with that? I am a punk. I'm 25.
Yes.
You know, and she put me into a supervisory role, like a team lead role of a desktop support team, which was funny because when I got into desktop support, I fell into desktop support, by the way. I was the telephone guy, right? The telecommunications guy. Company split, and the vice president of IT wanted to keep their telephone guys. So they made us report to the desktop folks. Well, okay, whatever. Turns out that the person I sat across from, this is how things work in IT. This is really how logistics work. The person across from me in the company, she ended up getting Lyme's disease and had to quit her job because it hit her really bad. So they made me from a telecom guy to a desktop person. Now this was in the mid 90s. So computers weren't as easy to work with then as they are now. I'm serious, right? So I go on my first, and they put me in charge of marketing of all departments. These people are the smartest people. They even had Apple back then. And this is the 90s. They had Apple Talk Network. I didn't even know what Apple was. I thought it was a fruit. I didn't even know what the hell it was. So here's the advice I got from one person that was coaching me. Go out and look on Yahoo. I said, I'm from the country. I know what a Yahoo is. I don't know what you're talking about. I had no idea. This is when the internet was just first coming around, right? So I started out like very bottom of IT, worked my way up to, well, I could say work down to supervisory role if you really want to know the truth. But, now I depend on all the help desk folks, desktop support folks to kind of keep my butt out of hot water by doing a wonderful job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you bring up a good point, right? Because in the 90s, you couldn't just go out and Google everything. The search engines weren't what are today. And when you talk to Ben's like, yeah, I just Googled everything and figured it out. So like, how did you learn all this stuff? I mean, like, what was your
trial by fire? Trial by fire.
Awesome.
I literally said so. Here's the funny thing: like, I worked for a company that was mainly mainframe green screens, and they were starting to get desktops. And then I walked over to a group that they were all like Windows, Windows 3.1, but they had this goofy Apple Talk thingy networky, and I never even touched an Apple before, let alone I just sat down and tried. I'm like, oh, what the heck, it's worth
buttons.
it. Sure. That's the reason they made me go over there, because none of the other desktop folks wanted to touch Apple stuff. Because again, this is the 90s. It wasn't as easy to use an Apple product like for Windows users, especially as it is now. And even then, Windows people cry. But back then, it was like, this mouse only has one button. What the hell is that? There's no right click. So I just learned by trial by fire. Yeah.
Gotta love it. All right. So you've been in IT a while. We'll call it a while. A year or two now. You've seen a few things, and I think the big buzzword of today is experience, right? All about shifting from service to experience. So what have you seen happen over the last year or two, however many years you would like to claim in the IT space, that is like making this experience word such a hot button topic in IT?
It's funny, we just talked about this today in my company. We have our daily huddles, and this was the big thing about it, and it's communication. I think that's the biggest thing, with information being so readily available, and the expectation of, like, listen, everybody orders from that big box company in the sky that gets their stuff in the next day or the day after that, because people want the same kind of service for support, right? And so the biggest thing is, even if you can't fix it, this is the thing I tell my folks all the time, even if you can't fix it, let them know you're working on it. It's right. About communication, right? Without that, you can be the best, you can be the absolute best IT person in the world, but if you can't communicate to people, they're not going to think very highly of you. It's the truth. I see it happen all the time.
Yeah. No, it's so true, and I think that's one of the biggest things we talk about at QSAC too. Is like everything, whether it's the perception of how fast you're moving, whether it's how technical you seem to be or are, it's all about how you communicate and sort of learning how to read the person on the other side of the keyboard computer and figuring out, what is it that they're looking to accomplish, and then being able to like express yourself in a way that like resonates with them. So I think communication is such an important thing, and I love that it has become such a big topic in IT, and I think that's why I've enjoyed being in the space, because the shift has been so cool. It's so cool to watch what's happening.
Yeah, but here's the thing too, like, and the big thing on that is communication. You also is listening, right? If you're a CIO, CEO, VPs, listen to the people that are on the grounds doing that, right? Because I've been in places that we didn't have the right tools. So the big guys are saying, get this done, and we're like, but we can't. We don't have the right tools to get her done.
Yeah.
Right. So it's listen too if you're in those upper positions, because your people. Yeah, sure, you might have people always gripe and complain about something, but there's usually a grain of truth at least in that. But listen to your people, because that's a big deal too.
Yeah, so to the people who are just coming into the IT space, those that are net new and are trying to pave their way, and whether they're level, whatever IT analysts, what are your best pieces of advice for those people starting their careers?
Dig in and learn as much as you can. Like, so here's the advice I give to, like, for help desk. If you're coming in on a help desk, that's usually where you start, as L1, whether you're desktop support or help desk. Most seasoned or mature-ish organizations have a ticketing system. Go through the ticketing system, go through the knowledge documents, read, because that's how you're going to learn. Every company's different. You can think you've got your MCSA, your MCSE, your Novell, that tells us dating, but the Cisco stuff, but until you actually do the work, or at least read like what your company does with it, you're not going to be as successful. So read that knowledge inside the place you're working, and for me, I watch a lot of videos. That's how I watch a lot of videos on how to do things, whether it's IT or not, right?
Yeah.
I have a project now. I'm working on a car, the rebuild of an old car, and it's been so long since I've worked on a car of that age, it's almost as old as me, that I'm watching YouTube videos on it.
Not to like stereotype myself here as the non-technical one, but I was actually watching a video the other day of like how to curl my hair the right way, and I like had the video set up, and I was like doing the curling while watching. I don't know. I laugh all the time. What do people do before YouTube? I did it on
the proper way to shave a beard. Let me tell you. Now that I'm allowed to wear one again,
It's so funny. There is a video out there for everything, man. You can.
Almost. I found a couple where I couldn't find them, but that's
fair.
I should make it then.
Exactly. Go out and make the content happen.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I hate that this is like the one complaint. I tell Tom, this 15 minutes goes by so freaking fast. And it is like, all I want to do is like there's so much more I would love to dig into. We'll have to do this again. For those of you that are going to Orlando, please come and say hello to Tom and I. We will both be there live doing the live stream. So if you have feedback, if you want to be on, if you want to drop by and say hi, if you have ideas for shows, ideas for guests, we need it all. We want it all. Tom and I both, we love hearing from all of you. So please tell us what we can do. Tom, closing out, where can people find you, reach out to you, get a hold of you? What are your closing? I'm very active on LinkedIn. I believe you have it on the screen, right? So very, very active on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. I love to connect with people, help people out, do some mentoring, some coaching, and help connect people, especially in the HDI community. Love connecting people. So, and we will be doing that show on Wednesday that week. So stop by. We'll be in the Expo Hall, I believe. So awesome. But yeah, you can reach me that way. I love to connect with people. So blow up my LinkedIn box. Yep. And for those of you next week, we are trying to figure out finalizing our final guest. So we will have something next week. It'll be a fun surprise for probably most of us. Terry's going to kill us, but we will have a show next week. I think I'm going to be hosting. Tom's gotten pulled.
I'll be able to watch, but I'm not sure I can broadcast where I'm at. Yeah,
that's fine. We can make it work. And thank you so much, the HDI team, for making this happen. And Tom, thank you.
It's a pleasure.
We appreciate it. See you soon.